Sir Cliff has established himself as the British king of pop, loved by millions right around the world. So we were all extremely shocked when back in 2014, police came knocking at Sir Cliff's door. And they weren't alone. The BBC broadcast live pictures of the raid on his home, right around the globe. For almost 2 years, his life has been on hold. Sir Cliff has deliberately kept a dignified silence, protesting his innocence only with written statements. But now, in a world exclusive, Sir Cliff has decided to tell his story and step out of the shadows. He reveals,
I've been referred to as a murderer. I've been referred to as someone who's got children buried in my vineyard. I may have been suicidal. I have never, ever molested a boy, a girl, or man, or woman.
Cliff, first of all, thank you so much for giving us this exclusive television interview. But I really am dying to know how I felt when I heard the news. Where were you exactly and how did you feel when you heard the good news that you're not being charged?
Well, I mean, I haven't stopped smiling since that time, a couple of days back, or a few days ago now, and all I've drunk is champagne. I cannot actually explain how bad it was for me, and it's just the same trying to explain how fantastic. You know, unless you've been through something like this, when that cloud got lifted, and you know, the last 5 minutes of my waiting for the good news was the toughest part. You know, I could have been prosecuted, I suppose. And we're waiting for 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, my whole life is hanging in 5 minutes, and it was so disastrous, the feeling that something may go wrong at this late stage. And all he did was say, "Hi, Paul here," he said, "Good news, everybody." Well, I must have, you know, it was just absolutely, it was a fantastic feeling. It was like, it's hard to explain when you've been sort of live bait, and you know that there are people out there that must. Gloria, I'm kind of confused how this ever happened to me. I've always been the, you know, goody two shoes, nice boy of pop, and yet the people that have made allegations against me must really hate me for some reason. They have to hate me. I have no idea what I've done, but having gone through that and sort of lived for almost 2 years, it was a feeling of euphoric.
Did you weep as a matter of interest?
I did. I did shed a tear. Yeah, absolutely. The relief was instantaneous, and I'm on cloud 12 now, no longer cloud 9.
So you were in Portugal when you got the good news.
Yes,
in your home.
It was kind of the right way for it to finish, because I was in Portugal in my home on the day I got the bad news, or 22 months and 2 days before, and so it felt to me like I'd been full cycle, and I'd survived it all, and then there I was in the same location when I got the news that it was good news.
So you say that you wept when you sort of heard the news, but when you get that relief and when it's like over and you've been waiting for that now for so long, I mean, when we've met, it's the first topic of conversation, no news yet. Do you then are you then able to sleep? Do you then waking up thinking, oh, thank God it's over? Or how does that affect you?
Well, funnily enough, I haven't slept well for 22 months and 2 days, and still I can't sleep. I think it's going to take quite a while, because what's not going to change for me is what I've been through, and it has been horrible. Only anybody else that's been innocent of a crime and accused of it will know what terror hits your heart. You feel like you're in the depths and pits of despair, and suddenly this thing comes out, the good news, and it's all-consuming. I think it'll be a while before I get back to sleep, but it's been a very, very bad couple of years.
Take me back, Cliff, to that fateful day when your home was raided by the police. Just explain to me the circumstances you were in at the time.
Well, I was in Portugal, and in fact my sister and I and a couple of friends were going to go and visit my winemaker, actually, who's about an hour and a half north of where we are. We were about to get into the car. I'd put all my baggage in there, and the phone rang, and the voice said, "Sir Cliff, there are police people here with a warrant to search your apartment." And I thought, what? It was a shock to me to even hear that this was happening. I didn't know what they were doing there. And remember, they hadn't interviewed me. I didn't know what it was all about. And then I said, well, you better let them in, otherwise they break the door down. And please, it's a lovely door. So they just let them in, but I had no idea what what they were going in there for. I went driving up the motorway to get to this place for lunch when the phones started to ring in the car. And that's when we first had an indication of what was happening. It wasn't until we got to our luncheon appointment, had the most terrible lunch. I mean, I felt so embarrassed. My winemaker was talking to me. My sister was going off. Her partner was going off at the phone. The phones were all buzzing away. And he said to me, "What's going on?" And I thought, I've got to tell him. And I said, "David, something absolutely horrible has happened." And I told him about the accusation. And, well, I couldn't tell him exactly what it was. I said, "But someone's accused me of molesting them."
So just backtrack just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you hadn't had any notification, you hadn't been interviewed?
No,
You
no.
hadn't had anything?
No, I had nothing at all, other than a friend of mine rang, the manager of the apartment block, and he said, "They're there." And I said, "Well, you cannot not let them in. You have to let them in." And I said, "They're not going to find anything there, so just let them in."
Yeah, what was that like? I mean, in a way I can't imagine what it would be like sitting in your home in Portugal, watching your home in England being raided by police, and also helicopters up above and cameras and newsmen and everything that goes with that. So what are we feeling then?
That first day when I got back from the visit to my winemaker was probably the deepest and darkest hole I've ever been in. I came back to the Quinta, my farm. It was surrounded by press and photographers, and I lived in that one section of the house. Fortunately, it's a big house. For 2 weeks before I ever went out again.
Just hiding away?
Yeah, I just hid away. And that first day when I came back, a friend staying with me, and a very good friend of mine came in, and I was actually on my knees, and I was inconsolable. I was weeping and crying, and all I heard was footsteps, and he said, "Get up. You got to get up." He said, "Get up, hold your head up. You have nothing to be guilty of. You have nothing to weep about." And I said, "Well, okay," and I got up. And then, of course, I got a phone call, and it was you. Do you remember? You said, funnily enough, I knew that something was, you wanted desperately to say something to me, and if you don't mind me quoting you, you simply said, "Okay, don't say a word. Do not interrupt me. I'm probably going to say something that's very important, and it'll be very beneficial for you." And then, of course, you introduced me to a lawyer, and he, in fact, phoned later. And I was very grateful for that, because, first of all, you were apart from my friend being the first calming influence, the second one was you, and I felt a bit more comfortable. I feel fortunate in many ways, and that is that I've been able to fight this. It's been a very costly 22 months and 2
I'm
years.
asking how much, do you mean costly in terms of
pounds.
you? Of pounds. How much, for example?
Well, it's over £1 million.
In cost?
Just to be innocent. But in the end, you see, am I not the luckiest person on the planet? I can afford to do that. If you were a man who was a plumber or a teacher or a dentist or a doctor, and somebody makes a false accusation, I don't think they would have the ability to do that. And so I've still, in spite of all the horribleness of it all, I've been able to console myself that I can afford to do this, and I can remain calm about it.
You're obviously given a file. By the time the file is completed and constructed, before it's handed over to the CPS, you presumably got a chance to read that report.
They say when I first went for the first interview, which was 2 weeks after they broke into the apartment, the lawyers are taken downstairs, and they get what they call a disclosure. It's a disclosure of what the accusation is. I said, "I can't. This is ridiculous. This is absolute nonsense." And so it was. But afterwards, of course, I've been quoted as saying, and I did in my statement say that I felt like I was hung out like live bait.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that this very first accuser made so many mistakes. And remember, this is not good for the South Yorkshire police, but they didn't even check until 4 weeks and 2 or 3 days later, after they broke into my apartment. He got so much wrong. The room he said it happened in apparently didn't exist in 1985. Goalposts were never kept in rooms. And then he got the year wrong. He said it was 1983, and Billy Graham wasn't there till 85. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, of course they're going to just throw it out. This is nonsense. They didn't throw it out. And because of the raid, and because of the accusation, because of the BBC, I found myself smeared and named. That's another factor. But why did the police, first of all, wait so long? And when they actually checked out his claim and found so many mistakes, why didn't they say, sorry, Cliff, dump it? The accusations...
How many were there in total?
I think 9 in total. And 5 of them apparently were so weak they didn't even get to the CBS. So it was just one of those things that you feel, if they had been fair with me, if they had been... Well, I think they were behaving in an inept way.
But then presumably you do understand that they have to check it out.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You know, I mean, if you've got 9 cases, of accusation.
Well, they weren't 9 then. There was just the one. The others all came after that first accusation. Once my name was blazoned around, and Glow, I have a feeling now this may happen to me over and over again over the years. I don't know how it's going to be, because they didn't play fair by me. Having seen so much wrong with the claimant's claims, they should have said sorry and goodbye to this guy. And then, of course, we'll never know now, but these other liars, I've given up to call them claimants, they came out. But of course, some of them, it was laughable. One of them said that I was on roller skates, which I was in Milton Keynes, and they said I roller skated into the department store, full of the public. Cliff Richard, come and roller skate again. Groped this guy, then left, and then 2 hours later I came back and groped him again. He only had to go like that, and I would have fallen over. Yes. So I know we laughed about it, and of course a lot of my friends have been saying, we'll have to do something about it. But at the moment I'm so joyous at being free of it all and able to explain how could this happen to someone like me. I have never ever molested a boy, a girl, or man, or woman. Never ever, never would, never could. Okay. Then they wanted to read me out. I said, please don't read it to me again. I don't want to hear this crap. And so, but I had to sit and listen every time they asked me a question of a new, particularly the second time. The first time there was only the one accuser.
And how gross was that to read it or hear it?
Well, I can't quote them, but they were gross. A couple of them were really gross. I can't tell you what it's like to hear these vile accusations. And they must have very nasty minds. And it was just horrifying. And one day privately, I'll tell you what some of them said, but I can't possibly. They are so vile and horrible, I wouldn't want to smear my mouth with it.
Still to come in my exclusive interview with Sir Cliff Richard, why he's now scared to pose with pictures with children.
And they wanted pictures. I made sure the son stood away from me. Well, I don't know what he might grow up to say.
How he might consider cosmetic surgery to undo the toll that it's taken.
I said, I can't believe it. I seem to be disappearing.
Welcome back to the programme. I really hope you're going to stay with us for this special edition of Loose Women. Still to come.
I've spent these months, these 2 years almost, with my name plastered everywhere. I do not like being collateral damage.
There must have been times during that black period when you just cried, was sheer frustration, sadness.
Yeah, there were a few times. It wasn't a regular thing. The worst was that first night. That was the time when I felt, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this hole. This is terrible. Because, even now, I have no way of proving that I didn't do this. My accuser has no way of proving I did. What he has on me, though, he only has to make an accusation.
Yes.
And that's the way it is.
And he's anonymous.
So it's a frightening fact. And if we, as a group of us, Jimmy Tarboe, Jim Davidson, Paul Gabbaccini, myself, if we can get a consortium of us together to say, look, just try and make it fair. You can't. I do not like being collateral damage. That's what I've been. That's what Paul was. That was Jim Davis. That was Jimmy Tarboe. We shouldn't be. You can't just haul a net of people in and find one guilty person, and the other 9 have had their lives damaged and ruined, and sometimes forever, maybe.
Then, to be devil's advocate, though, when I hear everything you're saying, it's a very fine dividing line in some cases, because others would argue and say, if people hadn't been named, you wouldn't have had people coming forward for Jimmy Savile, for Rolf Harris, for Max Clifford, and so therefore they put that up as the fine dividing line. And there is a lobby for what you're saying, but there's also a lobby for the opposite.
If the police have got enough to charge you, that's the time you should be named. And then if there's other people who want to come forward, they will come forward. But I've spent these months, these 2 years almost, with my name plastered everywhere. There's one headline I read in one newspaper, which I won't mention what paper it is. I may have got it wrong, but I remember being really upset, really traumatized, and phoning the legal department immediately. I said, I can't believe it. This paper, the headline says, Sir Cliff molests 14-year-old boy. Where's the allegedly? It made the statement that I had actually molested somebody. And of course they said, well, we've read the article, and the article doesn't say anything about that. It's not in the article. And I'm thinking, how can a newspaper get away with actually putting that in banner headlines on the front page? That headline horrified me. It took me to the depths again. It was just frightening to think that someone is allowed to write that. The trolls on the internet now, they have become judge, jury, and executioner. They don't answer to anybody. You know, I've been referred to as a murderer. I've been referred to as someone who's got children buried in my vineyard. It's laughable, but it is serious. And so I don't think I'm ever going to get over it completely. But I'm not already feeling better. And now I'm hoping that the story will be hopefully as big that I'm cleared of this.
In this modern world, of course, you're right. It'll always be on the internet. And as you rightly say, you perform worldwide. Is that one of your big concerns, that anytime anybody taps in, up it comes?
Yes, I thought simply before that it would be, Trivial Pursuits. But, 20 or 30 years' time, they'll be playing Trivial Pursuits, and they'll say, which pop singer was this one who was accused of? And I'm thinking, I would hate that. But the internet's even worse. I can't imagine anybody else having to go through what I've been through. If we could just make that not so much just a guideline, but a fact. You do not mention anybody's name unless you charge them. Then you sit back and wait if there's other people come forward.
Would you see that as something good coming out of a horrible situation?
Glow. It would be almost worthwhile. Having gone through this, it would be almost worthwhile. I say almost because I don't think I'm ever going to forget this. I don't think it's going to go away that easily. And I'm 76 this year. I don't know how long I've got to live. And what these people have done to me is, and if they wanted to damage me, if my accuser wanted to damage me, you did it. I don't think I'll ever be quite the same again. Even now, I find myself when I'm having fun. I was shopping in a store in Weybridge, and a woman came up, 2 daughters and a son, a little boy like this, and they wanted pictures. I made sure the son stood away from me, and I just leant over and smiled. It's changed. Whereas I was always, oh yeah, come on, picture hers. And whether they were kids, babies, it didn't matter to me. And I've pulled, slightly fighting shy of that a little bit now. But maybe that probably will. Because even as I'm speaking about it now, how ridiculous is that?
So is it the trust factor? I mean, you've given a very good example where you don't want to be photographed even with a boy. Well,
I don't know what he might grow up to say. And in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, what if it happens again? What's going to stop someone else telling a lie, And it's a painful, horrible experience. What I've had to do is try to remember what happened 30 years ago, and I said, where was I 30 years ago? We looked up, and sure enough, I was with Billy Graham. And then I couldn't remember what time I got there. They said, well, how long were you there? I said, we would have got there an hour and a half maybe before the event started so that we could meet everybody. And they went, oh, okay, what about this picture then? They said, look, are there any people in the stands? And I looked at the photograph, and there was not a soul in the stands. And of course, there were 47,000 people that night. So they said, well, you said you were only an hour and a half. Obviously, it would take at least 2 hours to fill that stadium. You were there for a lot longer than that. And they said, also, you did another event too, that before it all started. You went into a marquee, you sang a song to all these people, you spoke about your faith. I went, oh yeah. And then, of course, I did 2.5 hours on stage in front of 47,000 people. And they said, and yes, afterwards, you were taken to a hotel to speak to some other people. And I said, I wasn't quick enough. I should have said, I did all that? How did I find time to molest anybody? And apart from anything else, Glow, there were 5 policemen on duty that night. They now retired, but they volunteered their services. There were 2 other security people. One, I think, was from Billy Graham's organisation, and one was from the Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, and Bill Latham. The 5 retired policemen phoned South Yorkshire Police and offered to make a statement because they felt that I couldn't have done this. They were there the whole night with me. They weren't even answered. They didn't even.
Well, they wouldn't take the call.
They wouldn't accept the call. And so, fortunately for me, they had read who my lawyers were. They phoned the lawyers and said, we would like to make statements. And they have written statements, just in case I had to go to court, saying, in our humble opinion, this could never have happened. We were with him that whole time. The police weren't interested. They weren't. No, and that's what makes me so angry and confused, because they had all this, and we could have got rid of that first accusation immediately. And I may never have had to go through what I've gone through. There's nothing I could say other than face the police. I faced them twice. I was happy to go and talk. They were never available, actually. All through January, February, March, April last year. It wasn't until November 2015 that they finally gave me my second interview.
I think when I talk to people in the street, I think, you know, that comes across all the time about the unfair treatment. Why has it taken so long? Yeah. And that why must be uppermost in your mind.
It is, and it's still the question to be asked. I don't know. It's hard to understand why. I mean, I've tried to be as explicit as I can, saying this is what they knew about my accuser. All the facts were wrong. Even the date he's got the date wrong. So there was so much wrong with it, you can't figure out why it didn't end there.
Still to come in my exclusive interview with Sir Cliff Richard. Why a treasured gift from Princess Diana is still being held by police. And his terror at the very thought of going to prison.
I thought, I am never going to get out of this mess.
Welcome back to the programme. I really hope you can stay with us for this special edition of Loose Women. Still to come.
I took a pill. In fact, the lawyer said to me, please don't try and fight this, take a pill and get some sleep.
And how he might consider cosmetic surgery to undo the toll that it's taken.
I look in the mirror and thinking, this is old geezer looking back at me.
I'd love to ask you about the toll it's taken on you. When I saw you recently, before you were cleared, you gave me a hug, as you always do, and I felt at that point you were a bit of skin and bone, that you're never fat, let's face it, but you'd lost a bit more weight. And I'm wondering, mentally and physically, the toll it's taken on you.
That first night, after you'd called and after I spoke with the lawyer, I woke up I took a pill. In fact, the lawyer said to me, please don't try and fight this, take a pill and get some sleep. So I took a pill, and when I woke up really early, about 3:30 or something like that, and again, I woke up, that's the first thing I thought of. And you know, that's gone on now until yesterday. For 22 months, 2 days, that's all I ever did. Before I went to bed, I woke up in the middle of the night, I'd think about it. I wake up in the morning, I think about it. 2 days after the break-in, I had played tennis 3 times a week with a tennis coach, and his day was coming up. And so I didn't cancel it. But I've never felt so strange. I couldn't play. I could hardly lift my racket. My arms ached. I went through the hour, and he said, you know, and I explained to him what had happened, and he went, oh, well, of course. He said, these kind of things, the stress is not just mental, it's physical. Your whole body is responding badly to this. And I couldn't believe it. I could hardly walk. I had a hot bath. I still couldn't walk. It was just impossible. So I realized really early on that something was happening to me. I have had, during the course of this year, shingles. Suddenly I got hit by shingles. I've got a photo. I haven't got it here, of course, but I took a selfie. I got it on my face and my head, and I've got these black scabs all over my forehead, and just above my eye and down here. So, and also I don't fall over a lot because I keep myself busy. And as you know, when we went to France, I fell down steps. My teeth went through my lower lip. I had to have 12 stitches on the outside and some on the inside. Then, of course, the lack of sleep doesn't help. So there's been a number of indications that my body has had to put up with something that I'm not used to. And now that it's over, I'm definitely going to get myself PET scanned, or whatever they call it, just to make sure that I'm going to be able to function all right for the rest of my life.
Because you, above everybody else, you're very conscious of, and you're great at keeping your persona tip-top. You know, the young pop star still, you know, at 76.
It's hard to stay young, but...
What did you see when you looked in the mirror during those really low periods? What were you seeing?
Well, funnily enough, I've kept a little diary of there's one section, when I read it over a few days ago, it made me laugh, actually. I don't know whether I'll keep it in there anymore, but I said, I can't believe it. I seem to be disappearing. I looked in the mirror. Every time I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go there, I'd wash my face, and I'd look in the mirror and thinking, this is old geezer looking back at me. And I seem to be more lined and everything. And it may just be a psychological thing and part of the stress factor that you suddenly think, I'm going to the dogs here. And, you know, this is interesting, Flo. I know, and more importantly, God knows, I never did this to him. I have been victimized. I will have to find a way to get over what has happened to me. And that's why the PET scan's going to help. It'll be, if I can get an all clear physically again, I'll feel, okay, I've survived 20 months and 2 days, I can do another 22 years. Thank God for friends. You know, I was never left alone, ever. My friends, on the day that the raid took place on my apartment, friends were coming down to stay with me, and I got emails saying, look, we better not come. You probably want to be on your own. And I emailed back and said, no, I don't want to be on my own. Please come. And you know what? I have laughed a lot during the time, because when you're with people and you're just ordinary and you know that they know that you didn't do this, there's a feeling of release. Of course, you go to bed at night and it all starts all over again.
But how low did you get? I mean, of course...
Well, that first day was probably the lowest, when I thought, I am never going to get out of this mess. And I'm never going to be able to, you know, how do you... I might end up in prison for something I didn't do. And of course, a man was released only a few months ago, 30 years in prison, and now because of DNA, they found out he was innocent. And I'm thinking, it can happen. It happens all the time. We don't have a perfect country.
Have you learned anything about about yourself, about your own inner strength?
I think what I have learned quite a bit about myself, but mostly it's come since the good news, because now I can look back and think, I wasn't suicidal. You know, that first day on my knees, weeping in my kitchen, and then being told to stand up, that was probably the depths of it all. And had that gone on, I don't know, I may have been suicidal, because you feel so helpless. Now when I look back, I think, wow, I actually survived it.
Many people in the business have been very supportive of you.
Yes.
What other friends, you know, in that line of business have been on the phone to give you support, give you help?
Well, I mean, Elton was one of the first people that called me. I mean, he actually, I can't use the language he used, but he said, go for the rotten throat. And I got a call from Tony Blair, who I hadn't seen for ages and ages, and he called me just to comfort me. I can't remember actually.
Scylla, of course.
Oh, Scylla,
sadly,
yeah.
Scylla is gone now, but she was around at the time as well.
Oh yeah, Scylla was right there. And of course, I was seeing a lot of her anyway in Barbados too, so that was great. And all my friends, you know, the people I've met in Barbados, the thing that's really been uplifting for me is that nobody can or will believe it. But I still had to survive it myself, because in the end, as you know, only people who go through this can possibly know what it's felt like. I can't even describe it. It would be impossible to... I can't really describe it. I've done my best to describe what it was like, but it's never going to actually get through the total loss of everything for yourself. There's just nothing you can do. You feel there's nothing you can do. You're in everybody else's hands, and of course, inept hands, as it turns out. I'm sorry, South Yorkshire Police, what else am I supposed to say? You know, they're doing their job, but I don't think they did it very well.
Have they given you back your stuff?
No, I haven't got any of my stuff back yet. I'd like to have my iPhone back. When I was talking with them, actually, it was quite funny. They said to me, do you use iCloud? I went, I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, but I do not have an iCloud. And there were two of them, they looked at each other and went, oh. So anyway, but no, they haven't given me anything back yet. The only thing they gave me, I said to them, look, I'm going to be singing shortly, and I need it's a CD, like a CD-ROM, and it's got Cliff's warm-up. And it's my vocal warm-up thing. Well, they must have played it and been bored to death of me going... Brrr. Anyway, they gave that back to me, and I was grateful for that. But they've kept everything. I don't understand it. There's a letter that I've got from Princess Diana, just a note from her. I've got postcards that my mother had collected of me sent to her sent to me. A book of Billy Graham's that he signed to me. They're still all there. And I've no idea why they even took those. Why would they take those? What's that got to do with the accusations?
The other side of it, of course, is the record company, you've got a brilliant record sitting there waiting to be released, and yet they wouldn't release it. Yeah. Also, #1 on the calendar list for years and years and years. The stores wouldn't stock it last Christmas.
Yeah, I know.
So how did you feel about that?
Well, it was disappointing for me because, and again, it goes to show that this kind of thing is not just a stressful physical thing or a mental thing. There's a business that I'm in business, and I had wine that was sent back. As you say, some places didn't stock the calendar. The record company, I can understand though. But it still disappointed me. The record company said, "Look, let's wait till this is all over." But those kind of things now, I've had to put up with that the damage of the business, just the business alone. And so It was a disappointment for me. But, you know, with the calendar, I'd already said, you know, I can't go on making calendars. I mean, it's just a very difficult job now because
You wanted 100 doing the calendar.
It's just that after a while, there's one body and one face and one smile. And there's
always Botox, don't forget.
Oh yeah, I know, but Botox didn't work for me. I felt like my eyebrows had dropped like that, and I felt like I was scowling the whole time. But I have thought, you know, I thought to myself, this is another thing, of course, that I may look in the mirror again and say, well, maybe I'll have something done just to help me get over all of this, so that if in fact I have got more lines, I mean, I keep counting. I think I've got about 6 aside, and if I could find somebody that I could say to, I only want 3. Get rid of 3
just to be natural.
Just yeah.
Can I go with you, by the way? Can I go with you?
Darling, we could bring a whole bunch of us. We get a job lot.
Still to come in my exclusive interview with Sir Cliff Richard, how he plans to sue the police and the BBC and call for bosses to be sacked.
I'm confused. How the heck? Why was a helicopter there?
And he talks frankly about suicide and his sexuality. Welcome back to the programme. I really hope you can stay with us for this special edition of Loose Women. Still to come.
These were police people who seemed to think that I may be guilty of doing something really horrible, vile things.
He talks frankly about suicide and his sexuality.
There are things that are mine that will go with me to my grave.
I've heard you say, actually, that you're not happy with the fact that you haven't been declared as innocent. That's insufficient evidence. Now, how much does that bug you?
It bugs me a lot, really. I put it into the statement that I put out when I got the good news, to say that it's the way the CPS work. It's hard to change rules that have stayed there for years and years. They have to use terminology, and the terminology is insufficient evidence. Well, insufficient evidence, my backside. If you can't have evidence for something that didn't happen. So I'm comfortable in myself because I know I didn't do these things. And so, but I have to live with the fact that they can't even say innocent. They have to say insufficient evidence.
Are you bitter about the whole thing?
I don't think I'm not bitter, really, no. I'm angry with the South Yorkshire Police. I feel confused and angry with the BBC. I'm confused. How the heck, why was a helicopter there, and why was the BBC allowed to film what should have been a private investigation? That's when I saw my apartment, and I could recognize it clearly. There were people fumbling around inside there, and it was horrifying. I mean, I've sold it. When I came back, I said, I can't live in this place again. I just felt I would rather have been burgled. You know, some people say, oh, once I got burgled once and I couldn't live in that house. Burglars wouldn't bother me at all. These were police people who seemed to think that I may be guilty of doing something really horrible, vile things. And so it was shocking to me to see that.
So have you had an apology or any connection with the BBC as to why they were allowed to go in that day?
No, the BBC have said absolutely nothing to us at all. And I don't know. The police have come out with an apology, and I actually appreciate that.
Will you sue them?
It's been mooted, and I probably will have to. I was first against the idea of suing people who are institutions of our country, police, BBC, and also if I do sue, and I probably will, but I want the BBC to know that for me the BBC is Uglo. It's Paul Gambaccini. It's all those directors and all the people that work and make the shows. I have listened to the BBC everywhere in the world, wherever I go. It's a great institution. It's the men at the top that should either be sacked or something.
See, some might argue at this point and say, do you know what, Cliff, you've been through this gruelling almost 2-year period. Why don't you just enjoy your life now? Forget about suing, forget about, going into legal battles. You've had enough of that for the last 2 years. Some might say, just go and lead your life and have joy.
Because what they've done is not fair, it's not right, it's not just.
And I'm just wondering, with your faith, and you said it hasn't shaken your faith per se, no. Not even for a moment.
Not for a moment. If I believe in God, then there's nothing can actually destroy me. And of course my accuser needs to know, and I don't think I want to meet him particularly, because I don't know why someone would do this to me. Some of the things they quoted, the actual accusations were pornographic.
Where do you stand in terms, say, of forgiveness for all these things that you've been accused of and these people?
I lay that on my bed and I thought, how am I going to deal with this? I can't hate him or be angry with him. So I forgave him. I just said, God, help me forgive him. So I have forgiven him. If he's watching this, I did actually forgive you. But what he has to do, my forgiveness, he didn't even know, didn't even feel it. What he has to do is ask for the greater forgiveness. Only God can actually forgive him all the things he's done.
And did you pray a lot during all of this?
I prayed a lot all the time, yeah. I try to spend time praying anyway. I tend to pray for family and friends, and and of course this 22 months has been tough because I've also had 3 funerals. My niece Lindsay died during this time. Cilla Black died. An ex-manager of mine, he died also. And so it's been a colossal build-up of all sorts of things just happening all at the same time. And let's hope that all of it's over with. But I've grown, and now that I can talk to you like this, I feel I'm learning about myself all the time now. That in fact, first of all, my faith wasn't shaken. Because when Joe Dando got shot, that's one of the first times I started to think, what? God, how could you let this happen? It's just, but that's one of the early times, a long, long time ago. This time, I didn't have any blame towards God whatsoever. None at all. I thought, well, this is what I have to go through. He knows I'm not guilty. And that, for me, was the main thing.
Now, you've fielded questions all your life about sexuality. Do you think some people might be saying, oh, well, that Cliff Richard never got married and, there must be something funny here?
I've lived with that for the whole of my career. And there are areas of my life, I always feel that I've been probably one of the most open people. I've done more interviews, I'm sure, for TV, for press, than almost any other person alive on the planet. I don't mind talking about things, but there are things that are mine, that will go with me to my grave. And I've given up, for instance, I don't talk about my family. I certainly don't talk about my sexuality. I don't talk about my family, because sometimes the press, with the best intentions, can just twist something a little bit, and then everybody's feeling bad about it. So my personal life is absolutely my business, and it's nobody's business but mine,
Absolutely.
And I feel that about other people. I read stories in the press about other celebrities and alleged scandals and things going on, and I'm thinking, is it illegal? No. If adults do what they want to do behind their bedroom doors, it's absolutely up to them. I've no interest. It's not my business, and it's not your business either about me.
Well said, Sir Cliff. Absolutely. Well, now that there's good news and you're on a different path now, I hear you're going to go to Wimbledon every day this year.
I am. I'm going to go. I didn't go last year because I felt embarrassed for the club. Well, this year I decided, even before the good news has come, I said, I'm going to go to Wimbledon this year. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm looking forward to it.
I predict that the first day you go, everybody in the stadium will just stand up. They will. They'll be so pleased to see you back. And Elton, he really encouraged you last year to go back, didn't he?
Yes. I was on a cruise. You were on the same cruise. And the phone rang, and it was Elton saying, we're all thinking about you. We're sending love and everything. And he said, I think you should go to Wimbledon. This is when he'd obviously read that I wasn't going. And I said, look, it's not that I'm embarrassed or anything. I said, and I explained to him why I was not going to go. And he said, oh, I understand then. He said, anyway, if you are going to go, I'll come with you. And I was tempted to invite him to the Royal Box, but I'll have to say to him, you can't wear a frock.
So, if you had your crystal ball, how do you see your life progressing now? You mentioned you're already 76. We know that. Yeah. Shock horror. Anyway, but how do you see your life going forward, career-wise, just as a man? How?
I see it going. Well, I don't know how much. I don't know whether I can go forward anymore. Forward suggests doing lots of new things, and I've got a feeling that that's kind of beyond me.
But you're still doing rock and roll and still selling albums.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I can't go back and make new things happen anymore. So for me, it's a great pleasure to sing some of the classic rock and roll, and I've made some classic rock and rolls. I think Devil Woman. She's just a devil woman with evil on her mind. We Don't Talk Anymore. Move It. Miss You Nights. They are all pretty classic songs that I was given to sing. Again, I count my blessings. I've had a great career. I see it going on similarly. If people want to come and see me, I'm going to be very happy to come and perform. And if the fans are watching, I never want to retire, but in a way I've stopped. when I did the Albert Hall, for me that was the pinnacle for me. It was a chance for me to really say thank you to the fans, for them to support me this way. And now I'm only going to pick and choose. I won't retire.
I've heard you say that before, though. I'll only pick and choose, and then you go off on a tour for 40 nights or something. I don't think you'll ever retire, you see.
No, I won't retire, but what I'm trying to do is pick and choose. Like, for instance, this year, 2016, I'm only doing 6 concerts, and 4 of those are on a cruise liner. So, and it'll be much easier, but it means I can have fun.
You mentioned earlier the great support of, obviously, family, friends, and so on. Is there anything you want to say to your fans? Because you've got a huge fan base. So you've got the camera there. Anything directly you want to say?
Well, I mean, I need to say that I know that they have been there for me. Or they've let me know in many, many ways. The song Golden I sing is absolutely right for them.
But we have stood side by side through the storms together.
And they must always remember that song, that it was written for them, and when I sing it, I mean every single word of it, that in fact they are the ones that have been golden through the years, and they have been golden through 22 months and 2 days for me.
You have been golden.
I have never felt, Glo, I have never walked through an airport. You know, you do, like we all walk through airports all the time, and sometimes I'll see a couple of big geezers, tattoos on their arm, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to come and punch me because he'll think I'm guilty. And he comes up and goes, all right, mate? Thank you. I'm all right, mate. And thank you to all my fans. It's been a real bad adventure, but I'm through it, and I can't be grateful enough. Thank you.
Well, Cliff, I have enjoyed talking to you for 45 years now, but I must say a huge thank you for talking to us today so openly, so honestly, and we all wish you every peace and every happiness going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Since filming our interview, the BBC has told us it is very sorry that Sir Cliff Richard has suffered distress. Police investigations into prominent figures in public life are in the public interest. The BBC at every stage reported Sir Cliff's full denial of the allegations. The BBC stands by the decision to report the investigation undertaken by the South Yorkshire Police and the search of his property. South Yorkshire Police told us the force apologises wholeheartedly for the additional anxiety caused by our initial handling of the media interest in this case and has implemented the learning from this and a subsequent review.
The very latest this Wednesday lunchtime with the ITV News next, and we got 2 live games for you tonight. The Republic of